Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to my session. My name is Caio Oliveira. I'm based in São Paulo, Brazil. I'm Brazilian. And I'm part of the global worldwide multi-cloud architecture and strategy team. Right, so this session here, I'll be talking about connectivity in the multi-cloud era. So pretty much what I do on my day-to-day is go towards our customers and partners and try to help them on their multi-cloud journey. And I would say that typically, networking is one of the most challenging points, right? So just a quick overview before what we're seeing, especially with I'm trying to get our cloud smart approach to in a view of a networking or security specialist, right? So a few years ago, we saw a lot of that trend to go to the cloud, so for cloud first as a first approach. And with that, all the networking engineers, all the security engineers need to learn a new skill, right? Because now, before they are used to do VLANs, things like that, and now they are going towards VPCs, VNets, all kind of new constructs that, of course, the concepts are the same, networking concepts are the same, but they are new tools that they need to learn, right? And with that, especially going towards more clouds, more than one single cloud, we got into cloud chaos, right? So a lot of different skill needed for the engineer, a lot of applications spread all over, a lot of networks spread all over. So VMware's approach is really to try to solve that with the cloud smart approach, right? I'm talking about a little bit about the challenges, and here again, about challenges in the multi-cloud networking, right? So normally, when you go towards a cloud, if you're going in a single cloud, normally you have the vendor lock-in, right? So if you select one cloud, potentially you are losing the benefits of going towards the others, right? So when you have more flexibility. As well, what we see before in the data center that we have siloed teams with different areas, we see nowadays the same with the cloud. So we have an AWS team, an Azure team, a Google Cloud team. So normally like that, and that actually increase the number of staff and also the staff training. You have to get new people normally to solve that, right? So also security, how I get my posture all over my environments. I have my on-prem environment, I have my different clouds, how I can have the same security all over. And of course, management cost, optimization, how we would do that in a multi-cloud environment. And of course, if I need to migrate one workload to another cloud, how we would do that? The interoperability, right? So those are the most common challenges that we see. And here I'm trying to bring the most challenging points I see in security, right? I think the first one is actually something that when customers start their journey to the cloud, what they do, they have normally their private data center, and for example, here in the example, in this slide, they start with AWS, right? So they have a connectivity, they normally tend to have a direct connect, tie it directly to that data center. That's good so far if you have one cloud, that's worked well, but now, for example, Microsoft brings a good licensing deal, so you have the opportunity to play with AVS, for example. Now you have to have another private connectivity, right? So you hook up with Express route. And the same with Google Cloud Interconnect, the name of the private connectivity, Oracle as well with Fast Connect and others. In that moment, what you see, since you are connecting everything to your data center kind of becomes a bottleneck. Because something happens, for example, you have an application that's communicating between AWS and Azure, all the traffic needs to go to your data center and coming back. So the first point that we normally try to talk in when we are planning an architecture is to think about having what we call a cloud exchange provider. And there are a few over there. The most known are kind of Equinix or even Megaport. We have a program that we run. We rely a lot on Megaport because with that, you have now a way for optimize your traffic and also have availability. So depending on where your clouds are, if you are different parts of the world, potentially having a cloud exchange will make a lot of sense for you. So I think that's I would say that when I start working with my customers and partners, that's kind of the thing that I try to envision for the beginning. As well, this This is something that should be trivial, but normally it's not. So please don't use overlapping IPs on your environments, right? I know that makes it kind of simple, but sometimes we see a lot, especially because normally there are some companies that passes through merger and acquisitions, and sometimes they have overlapping IPs. They have challenges right that. But if you are building and creating an environment from the beginning, try to make each environment different. And of course, you can, at the future, have like HCX, you extend your network, that's not a problem. But if, in your global environment, if those those networks aren't the same, it will be a good way for you to do, right? Third one is the traffic optimization, right? A lot of my customers, they have a security posture as well, their exit to the internet, normally on their data center, because potentially they might have a proxy or other components. So with that, now you have all your traffic from all those clouds going to your data center to live. So that's not efficiency, and potentially you are having more cost on that. So with that, especially, this can also increase the latency between the applications and your customers, wherever they are, right? So think about using and relying on the internet of those providers have, because normally they have a lot of bandwidth, and that will be a great benefit for you to have. Third point, I think really similar to fourth point, actually. Really similar to the last one, right? Normally we have those big boxes, those big Palo Alto checkpoint boxes that customers like to have on their data center. And okay, I have my security posture here. Okay, all the traffic goes to my data center. Again, not efficiency, right? Because, for example, if like you have an application that you have like the front end on AWS and the application tier or the database tier on any of the other clouds, like Oracle, for example, the traffic will go towards your data center, get inspected there, and go towards there. So that's not efficiency, because this is using like what we call a centralized approach. You have to move towards a more distributed firewall approach, right? When you have all distributed. And of course, when you rely on an abstraction layer, like for example, relying on VMware Cloud on top of all your clouds, you might have a good way to simplify and have the same way that you implement a firewall rule on AVS, the same way you implement on GCVE, OCVS, and all the others, right? So really important to try to rely on those. That I know that's kind of simple here. Normally when we're creating a design, especially regarding security, will be much more complex. But I think the general concept is, instead of like thinking about a centralized security posture, think about the distributed security posture, right? Another important point, and this is helped me in a few of environments, like leveraging BGP filtering. I know that's kind of like a really, I would say, feature that normally people don't tend to use, but especially when you have this cloud exchange provider in the middle of your environment, putting what will be allowed between each environment will be helpful as well, because sometimes you have dedicated teams in each of those clouds, and or you have an IPAN, but if you don't, potentially people will be creating networks all over, right? So having the allowed list will potentially avoid a serious problem on your data center. Imagine if you have like VMC or wherever, and a team here create a network that will conflict with your OCVS environment. If you have all the networks distributed, advertised, potentially you have a problem there. So creating allowed lists and all the networks inside this cloud exchange provider would be a good thing, right? One last point is think about the cost efficiency. Like the egress charges are different between all those clouds. So potentially depending if you have an application that relies a lot and will expose a lot of the traffic to the customers, try to understand which cloud will be the best for you, right? There's a few customers that normally try, depending on their traffic posture, go towards a specific cloud, especially on the front end, right? Not normally on the back ends or on the mid layer, but think about that, because potentially you might have an efficiency. And normally we tend to help customers to first understand. And normally the question is how I will understand the traffic, how I will know how much traffic I will, right? So relying on tools like area operations for networks will help that, because now, of course, you have those entire environment. You have traffic coming from one place, from one customer to another, going to one cloud, entering my cloud exchange. So how I'll get visibility to that, right? How I will potentially, if I have a problem, how I will tackle that. So understanding the traffic, understanding the path will be really important. And our operations have this complete visibility. Doesn't matter if you are running on your on-prem environment, if you are running a vSphere environment or a non-vSphere environment, our operations can give you that. I don't have time enough to talk about operations. Our operations will be an entire session, and there are a lot at Explore this year. Definitely recommend for you to look on that. And to talk about a real case that we build in our team, we developed a class that actually is running right now called the Multi-Cloud Expert class, that we have created an environment for 20 students to have a dedicated environment with one on-prem environment and a connectivity to 3 clouds. So here we have a data center. In each data center, you also have a VDIs for the students to connect. And you have, this is a nested environment inside the data center, and you have a connectivity to the Megaport. Megaport will be playing the customer, the cloud exchange in the middle of your environment, and each student will have a dedicated MCR. MCR is a Megaport Cloud Router, and that MCR have connectivity to all the clouds. So each student will have a dedicated one. So with the principles that I showed you here, we created this cloud. Soon, like potentially in the next week or two, in the tech zone, we're gonna have all the architecture, all the slides related to this class here, right? So my time is almost over, so thank you guys for, I know that was a quick, short session. I tried to bring the most challenging points when you are implementing an architecture, and if you have any other question, I'll be around here. Thank you very much.